What is luminosity? Understand this is just my description of my experience of it. Others may mean something different with the term, but I feel like I'm reasonably confident that this is what's actually being referenced. The reason I say that is certain terms used spiritually I find useful, practical, not because they in and of themselves define reality or something like that, but because they have a way of pointing in an accurate way in comparison to other words. And they're all approximations, but just with that out of the way, the luminous nature of appearances. Understand also that this is in the territory of non-dual, like non-dual realization, and especially after non-dual realization, the luminous nature of appearance can definitely be clarified. Maybe not even as a practice, but it will be clarified. I do think there's still some value to practice here, but that's neither here nor there. You can decide for yourself. So the luminous nature of appearance. When I say appearance, I mean specifically non-dual textures. Non-dualistic meaning it doesn't exist in a spatial relationship with you. For instance, what I could call a picture on the wall. The usual way we would talk about that, think about it, and experience it would be a physical object at a certain distance from you, and you feel like you really do exist in a physical body that's a certain distance from that object. And that's so obvious that it's somewhat absurd to talk about it any other way. So what non-dual is recognizing that all of what I just said is really a thought. All of what I said is nothing but a mental overlay. It's not what you're actually experiencing. When you, let's say, look at that picture, I have to use the conventional terms to even say this, but when you look at the picture or you just have that experience of experiencing the picture, experiencing that, you're already experiencing, you're already recognizing, maybe not recognizing, the non-dual truth is already in your experience. I'll say it that way, but maybe you aren't recognizing it. And it's because the overlays are so strong. The overlay that's saying over there, over here, picture, body, person, object, 5 feet distance. There's air between, right? Like the mind is actually making those kinds of thoughts almost constantly, and then thoughts that are based on those thoughts, right? That's the overlay that makes it seem obscure, what I'm talking about. But this is also why really you can approach this at any level of realization, because it's true all the time. However, it may not be very clear until deeper realization, specifically around non-dual. But non-dual realization is a clear recognition of what's not there in what I described. So we can deconstruct it in the sense that part of that, an important part of that, is a sense of relationship, a sense of here and there. And the here is the subject. It has different qualities than all objects, right? There's a million objects out there, a billion objects out there, the 10,000 things, but there's one subject, experientially. That experience that seems so rudimentary is actually a construct. The sense of being a self apart from objects, the sense of a subject being fundamentally and qualitatively different than objects, and also being at the center of everything. Those are all interrelated perceptions that are inaccurate, actually. So when that drops away, when that's not there, things look very different. There's a kind of two places at once experience, let's say. But even that, the language starts to fail here because it's not like I am in one place here and one place there. The sense of I here doesn't make a lot of sense anymore. It's more like what used to be perceived as a picture or an object, or more importantly, the colors that make up that object and the shapes and forms. The feeling of, even identity is not right here, but I'll say identity. The feeling of identity that you usually attribute to subject is also in that. It's like not even, it's something like subject mixed with object in both. And even the sense of where you are is kind of in both. And with that collapse of subject object, there's also this sort of intimacy that's ongoing. An intimacy meaning like the feeling of being apart from everything all the time isn't really there now. It's the opposite. And in fact, at first it can be an adjustment period. It can actually be a little uncomfortable at first to feel like you can't back away from anything anymore. Like you're intertwined with experience all the time. So anyway, when that drops away, and then even the remaining experience of physical form, even if that physical form feels non-dualistic, it feels like there's no subject object, it can still feel like there's like this physical reality here, this physical world. And even that can drop away, right? When that happens, when that kind of clarity of non-duality, then this luminous nature really starts to shine forth. And the luminous nature is what all of those conceptual and perceptual overlays were sort of built on top of. When I say built on top of it, it's not really that kind of a relationship, but I should say it's what they are trying to make sense out of and turn into something concrete in your mind. It's not nothing. I think that's a misperception a lot of times. Like there's just this vast space of nothingness, like how you imagine outer space. That's not the experience of non-duality. It's too intimate for that. But also there are textures. It's not just the intimacy, which means here, 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 or like here doesn't make sense anymore. Here and there don't make sense anymore. So it's intimate. It's like you're everywhere, sort of, but there's not a you in it. But not only the intimacy, but the texture itself, the color itself, white, red, green, shape. I'm just calling it shape. What those actually refer to in the experience, those words, is none of those actual things. It's not actually a color or a shape, but it's something, not a thing. It's radiant, luminous. It is luminous. It's like plunging into an ocean. It's like being a cup of water and thinking you were always apart from the ocean, and then someone just pours you into the ocean. It's all-encompassing in some sense. It's fascinating in a sense. It's amazing that it's always been here and you've somehow overlooked it. You kind of feel like, ooh, I don't want to say it this way, but I'm going to say it this way. Like I was going to say, ooh, I won the lottery. But it's also not special. It's just here. And so there's something really joyous about that. But it's not like a joy with an opposite. It's not like happiness versus sadness or unhappiness or something. It's a joy of rightness and a joy of synchronicity, maybe, being aligned with truth and reality without filtering anymore. And that is available as that luminous nature of every texture. And the textures aren't just visual. They're sound, sensation, scenery, smell, and taste. And here's where I'm finally getting to the point of why I made the video. Here's where the luminous nature becomes really prominent, is when even the differentiation of those apparent sense fields is dropping. It becomes it's seamless radiance. Light here is an analogy, but it's a pretty good analogy. But I'll say it, if it's like light, instead of light of your attention shining on something there and there and there, and everything seems at a distance and you're looking around and, there's different aspects or fractions of experience. Instead of that, it's like you are all of the light. It's like there's just light. There's just the radiance. There's just the luminous nature of appearance. And unlike a light show or something like I'm kind of describing, it's intimate. It's actually more intimate than identity, strangely. It's more real than identity. It's more immersive than identity is. That's the luminous nature of appearance.